Hey guys, welcome to the Dark Tales to True Nightmare Horror Story. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to enjoy more horror stories. I am a 20-year-old who has been suffering from insomnia and sleep terrors for a while now. Nightmares have become a regular occurrence for me, but there was one particular nightmare that kept me awake for over a day, haunting me with its intensity and terror. It was a night when I had to wake up early the next morning to pick up a package, which made me anxious. Additionally, I am scared of the dark, so I always leave the bathroom light on at the end of the hall. To make matters worse, I sleep in a single bed, but I have an odd habit of sleeping on the top end, avoiding the headboard area for reasons I can't fully explain. On this fateful night, I decided to sleep on the top end of the bed, and little did I know that this simple change would lead to a horrifying experience that I would never forget. As I drifted off to sleep, my room suddenly flashed red, and I jolted awake. Feeling unsettled, I tried to fall back asleep shortly after. To my surprise, this turned out to be my first lucid dream, where I felt like I was in a new dream but soon realized it was a nightmare. As I rolled over, I noticed a dark figure at the end of my bed. This figure was wearing a trench coat and had what appeared to be a cowboy hat or fedora on its head. I wanted to scream, but my voice seemed to have vanished. The figure's mouth unnaturally widened, and I felt myself being pulled towards it. Its large, gnashing teeth gave me a sense of sheer terror. I struggled to move or speak, and it felt as if my arm was being slowly devoured by the malevolent entity. As my arm was completely consumed, instead of waking up as people usually do when they die in a dream, I found myself stuck in a loop. I repeatedly died and was pulled off my bed, shredded by the sinister figure multiple times, each time experiencing excruciating pain. The loop seemed never ending, and I couldn't escape the tormenting nightmare. In my disoriented state, I could see the time on the clock, and it read 4:30, indicating that I had been trapped in this nightmarish loop for hours, dying and being pulled away from my bed over and over again. Summoning all the strength I could muster, I managed to grab onto the other side of my bed, desperately holding on to avoid being pulled any further. The clock moved to 5:30, signifying the relentless repetition of my horrifying demise for at least 8 to 9 times. Finally, through sheer determination, I managed to break free from the loop by pulling myself back onto the bed and rolling over. The figure seemed to retreat momentarily, but my ordeal was not over. I realized it was now 5:30, and as I looked to my right, I saw the dark figure again, standing next to the cupboard door. I was paralyzed with fear and exhaustion. Slowly, I climbed back onto my bed, attempting to be as quiet as possible, and eventually drifted back to sleep. I tried to dismiss the terrifying encounter as a figment of my imagination, or perhaps a reflection of my black work jacket hanging on my door. When I finally woke up, the figure was nowhere to be seen, but the trauma from that night still lingered within me. The experience left me haunted and anxious, forever separating my nightmares and night terrors based on that terrifying dream. Let's get into the second story. In the small, secluded town, nestled deep within the thick woods, a terrifying legend was whispered among its inhabitants. They spoke of a malevolent force that roamed the darkness, seeking to torment the innocent and feed on their deepest fears. They called it the nightmare. The tale had been passed down through generations, but most dismissed it as mere folklore, not daring to venture into the shadowy abyss that lay beyond the town's borders. However, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the night cast its ominous veil, the terror of the nightmare became all too real. One fateful evening, a group of curious youngsters gathered around a flickering campfire, the flames dancing wildly as if mirroring their excitement. They laughed and shared stories, dismissing the warnings their elders had given them about the horrors that lurked in the darkness. As the fire began to wane, the bravest among them suggested an adventure, to venture into the woods and prove the existence of the nightmare once and for all. The others hesitated, but the thrill of the unknown overpowered their fear. With pounding hearts, they ventured into the black expanse of the forest, armed only with flashlights and their youthful curiosity. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence enveloped the group. Twisted branches reached out like gnarled fingers, threatening to grab hold of the unwary. Every rustle and creak sent shivers down their spines, as if the very forest were alive and watching them. As they continued, they stumbled upon an ancient graveyard, tombstones weathered by time and forgotten souls. Fear gnawed at their courage, but they pressed on, the thrill of the unknown urging them deeper into the heart of the forest. A fog rolled in, thick and suffocating, obscuring their vision and isolating them from each other. Panic set in as they realized they were no longer a cohesive group, but scattered and alone. Each step became uncertain, and the once familiar surroundings transformed into a maze of shadows and unknown dangers. One by one, they began to experience strange occurrences. Voices whispered from the darkness, calling their names and beckoning them into the depths of the forest. Shadows danced and twisted, their outlines forming ghastly shapes that seemed to come alive. One of them saw a spectral figure with hollow eyes and a twisted grin emerge from the fog. Frozen in terror, they could do nothing but watch as it drew near, its bony fingers reaching out to touch them. With a scream that echoed through the forest, they ran, not knowing where they were headed but desperate to escape the clutches of the nightmare. Another heard a haunting melody, a mournful tune that seemed to resonate in their very soul. Mesmerized by the haunting sound, they followed it deeper into the forest until they stumbled upon an old, decrepit cabin. The melody grew louder, and they knew they had to enter, though every instinct warned them against it. Inside, the source of the melody revealed itself, an ancient music box, its once beautiful design now warped and twisted. The sight of it filled them with dread, but they couldn't tear their eyes away. As the melody reached its crescendo, the cabin seemed to come alive, its walls groaning and the floorboards creaking as if breathing in rhythm with the music. In a desperate attempt to escape, they fled the cabin, leaving the eerie melody behind but carrying its haunting echo with them. Meanwhile, another of the group found themselves trapped in a never-ending loop, retracing the same path no matter how far they wandered. Panic consumed them as they realized they were caught in a nightmarish cycle, forever wandering through the haunted woods. As the night wore on, the terror intensified, and the group's desperate attempts to find each other were in vain. Each member faced their own unique horror as the nightmare fed on their deepest fears and darkest memories. Morning finally broke, but not all of them emerged from the forest. The survivors, shaken and scarred, returned to the town with a chilling tale of their nightmarish ordeal. They had encountered the nightmare, and its malevolence had left an indelible mark on their souls. From that day on, the town's inhabitants heeded the warning of the legend, never venturing into the dark woods again. The nightmare remained a part of their lives, an ever-present shadow lurking just beyond the edge of their reality. And so, the legend of the nightmare horror story lived on, a haunting reminder of the darkness that dwells within us all and the horrors that can emerge when we dare to venture into the unknown.